All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's actually our last City of Boston workshop. So we saved the best for last with Mark Collins, who is our go-to local SEO and Google My Business expert from OnWeb Local. So I'll let Mark take it away.
So my name is Mark Collins. I'm the owner of OnWeb Local. We do local SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. What does that mean? It really is more like Google search optimization. It's getting your website to show up on page one in Google search. What is the definition of SEO? Here's a link to the formal definition. Search engine optimization in simple terms is the process of improving your site's visibility for relevant searches. When they talk about relevant searches, it can be your brand name or it can be a keyword. So I had a call yesterday with Ilona from the boutique, Rena Boutique on Newbury Street, and I have her permission to use her as an example. But a relevant search would be boutique on Newbury Street or women's clothing, Newbury Street. So we want to focus on keywords as the relevant wording. Here is the pattern, and I'm just going to breeze through this now. This is a reference for you to look at later. But on a website, you've got to add the appropriate words to the front end content, but you also have to add them to the back end content. And in that process, you should also add related keywording. So a good example of that would be, again, women might be shopping for women's clothing, but they might be shopping for dresses, or they might be shopping for a boutique, etc. So I'll go through that a little bit later in the presentation as well. But the other thing that you have to make sure that you add to your website, in local SEO, it's different than national SEO. In local, you really got to have who you are and what you are on your homepage. So in local SEO, the big difference is your homepage is really important. Your homepage must say you are a boutique clothing store. It must say you are a cafe, or it must say you are an Italian restaurant. So in local SEO, the homepage really needs to have the right wording. The other thing your homepage needs here is the appropriate wording for your city or town, like Boston, Fall River, Roxbury, etc. So that's important. There's other factors like technical SEO, but at the local level, that's really not that important. You just want to make sure your site is reasonably fast and it's not just terribly slow. But in most cases, that's not an issue. And the final thing to cover here would be content. If you have a website and you offer 5 services, let's say you're a hair salon and you offer, hairstyle and cutting, number 1, facials, number 2, let's say pedicures, number 3, you need to have a full page about the hairstyling. You need to have a full page about the facials. You need to have a full page about the pedicures. So in terms of setting up your site, I see a lot of small businesses put up a 1-page service page that says, hey, we do these 5 things. And they put up 5 little paragraphs and that's the end of it. Well, that's important, but then you need to also make another full page for each service. So that's an important concept to get. And finally, number 7 is blog posting. Once you've got a website built, you really need to blog, because blog posts are a way to add more content to your website, which talks about your services and your products at a deeper level. And really, it talks to your customers or your website visitors in a way that gives them advice, gives them how-to tips, helps them figure out how to use your product or service, or what they need to know about your product or service. So blogging is an in-depth way to communicate with your following. So on Facebook, you can put up a little post, or Google My Business, put up a little post and talk about things, but blogging allows you to do that at a deeper level, which is important. These are just concepts I wanted to put into the back of your head as we move through. Back end of a website, here's a WordPress website, here's my website. And when you log into the back end of the site, you can fill in this thing called the meta title. And if you can see that there, I circled it in red. And then there's a meta description. And then if you Google my website, I'm choosing for this presentation, I'm going to show you my website. I have a page on link building. So in the world of SEO, link building means we build links to your site. So my keyword I'm trying to hit here is link building. So if you see in Google search, this is how my website comes up in Google search. This is called a search snippet. And it says I do offsite profiles, link building, brand SEO. But link building here is my keyword. And then if you look at the meta description, it says building links. So I'm repeating the focus keyword, which is link building, in the meta title, meta description. Going back to WordPress, which is my site, it's right here, link building, brand SEO. And then right there, link building, brand SEO. So that's how that works. Meta description is a little bit longer. I'm going to show you how to fill that in. What you need to know about a meta description is that the Googlebot reads up to 320 characters, but it only displays up to 155 here. So you can see if you read this bottom sentence, it ends with a ... That's because Google's cutting it off. But Google actually reads the whole thing for SEO. So I'll show you that in a detailed example, and this will really sink in deeper. The other thing is alt text. Your website has an image on each page, hopefully at least one, or hopefully more than one. When you put an image on a web page, on my page that talks about link building, I put in what we call the image alt text field the word link building and a few other words right there. So I'm going to show you a live example of that when I work on Rena's website example, which is the boutique. So I just want to let you know that if you have a focus keyword for a page, which is really the product or service, you want to make sure you put these words in the back end of the site in this meta title, the meta description, and the alt text. Rules: meta titles should be 65 to 75 characters. Meta descriptions, 155 to 160 is visible, but you can write up to 320 and the Googlebot will read it. You need to have an H1 size heading on the page. What does that mean? If your page is about pedicures, the page at the top of the page that you can see on the website should say pedicures at XYZ salon, let's say. So the focus keyword for the pedicure page would be the word pedicure, obviously. Internal linking is another factor, and that's something we can talk about later. You want to have some outbound links in your blogs. Another great tip is original photos. I had a hair salon that had stock photos. They hired a photographer. We put in like 40 really nice real photos taken by a photographer. And I did all the image alt text, and the website ranking went up, and it pushed them up in the rankings significantly. Real photos help. And finally, the last point, just remember that if you're in Boston, you want to add the words Boston, MA, Massachusetts, and your zip code throughout the site. Because people go into Google and they may search pedicures near me, but they also may search pedicure salon Boston. So you want to have the word Boston on the website, obviously. And again, getting back into the pattern of the SEO, the focus keyword for the page, in my case, was link building. On the pedicure page would be the word pedicure. In the boutique, it would be the word, let's say, women's clothing. It should be in the meta title, the meta description, a heading on the page, and in the actual URL. And I'm going to show you how to fill that out in a second. And repeat it in the alt text. And then make sure you have minor keywords or supporting keywords on the rest of the page, in the subheadings and in the content. And then again, like I said before, make sure you have page for each product or service. That's huge. There are some keyword tools you can use. All I want you to know on this page is that if you set up a Google Ads account, you can put in a credit card. They won't charge you if you don't run an ad, and you can have access to a free keyword planner. So, and I have a question from Jane, which I'll answer after, which is, can you provide a brief explanation as to why SEO needs separate service offerings? The answer is very simple. I'll answer that question now. It helps you show up in search. So the answer is, if you have a services page that mentions, like I said before, hairstyling, facials and pedicures, you've only featured the word pedicures on that page once as maybe a subheading, and on that page, maybe with a little paragraph. If I build a 500-word page for just pedicures that talks all about pedicures, Google's going to know more about your pedicure service. So the answer is, you need to have a separate page for the service, because I really want you to put up a 500-word page on each service. If you don't do that, you're probably not going to show up. So one other tip here beyond the keyword tool is synonyms. A store is also a shop. A cafe is often called a coffee shop, but some stores are called shops. If you're a firm, you may want to put yourself as an agency or a company, and you want to have related wording in there as well. And then the other number 2 thing to know is that you should add words. If you're trying to sell product online, you want to put the words order online, buy online. I had a lobster company selling live lobsters, and the word buy live lobsters came up in search, and that's where they got their traffic from. So order lobsters online wasn't as important as buy live lobsters. That's what we learned on one project I did. So that's an action word. So if you put the word buy in there, you're going to get people typing the word buy, as well as the product or service name. I have a painter. As soon as we proliferated the word estimate, he had painting quote all over the website. We added painting estimate to the website, he got more traffic. And we could show in Google Analytics, it was getting hits for painting quotes and painting estimates. Huge, a huge synonym to add. Installation, delivery, if you're an HVAC contractor, they're not just looking for an air conditioner repair, they want air conditioner installation. So that's an action word. If someone goes into Google and types air conditioner installation, they're looking to get something installed. That's an action word. So you want that in your site. And then other words like for sale, service are huge. And then don't forget, if you're in a town, a city, a state, or a region, a lot of my websites, we put the word New England everywhere. People search for the word New England quite a bit. So here's the related example of a keyword. Dog walker, 27,000 hits. Dog sitter, 27,000 hits. So keyword searching told me for my dog sitter that half the public was looking for a dog walker, not a dog sitter. So we put that in there, and we brought their traffic up 40%. More related keywords. I had a film company. They were doing film transfer. Half the public's not searching for a film transfer. So they want to transfer 8mm film to a DVD. But guess what? It's also called conversion. So when we add the word convert 8mm film to a CD, we added more traffic by adding the word convert. Awesome examples of related keywords. Think when people walk into your store or when you talk to your customers, ask them what they're typing into Google. I had a car dealer. We did all this stuff. We added the appropriate words like used car dealer, pre-owned car dealer, car dealership, auto dealer, all the related keywords around the word car, auto, automobile, dealer, dealership, showroom, all that kind of stuff. But he started asking every single person that walked in the showroom what they were typing, and he was shocked, you know? And cars for sale was like the biggest one. So the word for sale is still used in Google. I don't use for sale, but a lot of people do. So we added cars for sale, in Providence, Rhode Island, and bang, he got some more business. So it's pretty amazing. This is the anatomy of a web page. I showed you the back end stuff, but I didn't show you the front end stuff. So can you guys see this okay with this green H1 heading? It says H1 headline. So on the page itself that people see, this says chocolate donuts from Mary's Bakery. And then the word chocolate donuts and the word donuts and the word chocolate is repeated through the article. And then in the background image alt text, the word donuts is in the alt attribute as chocolate donut. And then the meta title is chocolate donuts, Mary's Bakery up top. The meta description says Mary's Bakery's chocolate donuts are perfectly delicious, whatever. So this is a great example that you can keep as a reference in a guide to like how to put the SEO pattern on the front of the page that you see and the public sees, and on the back that shows up in Google search snippet. So here's the article that referenced that exhibit I just showed you. And here's my version. I redid it my way. This is much better. Order gluten-free chocolate donuts in Chicago IL online. I like that better. It's got gluten-free, still got chocolate donuts. It's got Chicago IL. And if you look at my meta description, I again talk about all the same words. Fresh baked chocolate donuts. Later on, I talk about gluten-free, no sugar. I also talk about the bagels and coffee and muffins, and order and pay online are in there in the meta description. Finally, look at the alt text, same thing, gluten-free chocolate donuts, Mary's Bakery in Chicago. So I'm helping to hit the keyword chocolate donuts Chicago, chocolate donuts Chicago IL, order chocolate donuts online, gluten-free donuts Chicago, etc. And I did another presentation about how to build your web presence. The only thing I really want to mention here is once you've fixed your site, make sure you have a Google page up. And it's important. It'll really help you a lot. And Bing and Apple Maps and Yelp are helpful. Number 2 is business directory websites. Number 3 is inbound links. But what I want to do now is stop the presentation and do a real example. This is a real boutique in Boston, Massachusetts, owned by Ilona, who's on the call. And this is her website now. This is the homepage. It just says new store hours, has a couple of pictures, but it doesn't have any of the right keywording. So what I did is I went on my website and built a mock-up page. Can you guys see this mock-up page? This is how I would do her homepage. Rena, a woman's boutique on Newbury Street in Boston's Back Bay. So now I'm hitting the keyword woman's boutique, Newbury Street, Boston, and Back Bay. I put Rena Boutique is conveniently located on Newbury Street in the Back Bay. Make us your first retail visit as you cruise Boston's best shopping area. When people are looking for clothing, they want to go shopping, so shopping is a keyword. So how did I figure that out? Here's a keyword tool. And here's some keyword research on related keywords. So making it really simple, people are going to look for a boutique, a woman's boutique, or a woman's clothing boutique. They're also going to look for a woman's clothing store, etc. But getting back to the front page of the site, here you have, this is the page that people will see in Google on their computer, the actual visible page. They're going to see this title now, heading. They're going to see this paragraph that has all the right words in it. Then they're going to see the pictures. In the website software, you can go into the back end and add what we call alt text right here. This is the alt text field. And again, I put boutique, Newbury Street, Boston, MA, Back Bay, and I even put the zip code. On the other picture, I put women's boutique, dresses at clothing store featuring Italian European fashions. So you can see here, I'm trying to proliferate the keywords that I already mentioned in the back end. This one I didn't do yet, but I would probably put women's shoes at boutique in Boston, MA. So I just wanted to give you an example of the front end. And then let's look at the page back end SEO settings. So in any website software, they have SEO settings or in the back end. This is what we call that meta title thing I was talking about. And there's the meta description. And this is the one I used. So when you do a Google search, people are going to see this and this in Google search. And that's how the meta title, meta description work. And finally, in the URL, it would be her website, which is renaboston.com, renaboston.com. So it would be renaboston.com/women's-clothing-boutique-store-Boston. That's a perfect page URL. So as you can see in this example, I've repeated the words boutique, women's clothing, store, Boston, Newbury Street, Back Bay, on the front page of the site that you can see, and in the back end meta title and meta description here, and in the alt text. If you just do that on every page of your site, you're going to really increase the power of your website to rank. 7 out of 10 websites that I work on don't have any of this stuff done. So if you just go in and do your meta title, meta description, image alt text, make sure the right product and service keywords are on your home page, on your product and service pages, and you repeat the words city, state, zip code, you're going to get more ranking, I guarantee it, and more traffic. I mentioned before, make sure you have a Google page, a Bing page, an Apple Maps listing, a Yelp page, maybe a Facebook page, of course. And then you want to put your business into business directory websites. And how does that look? That looks like this. These are all the websites. Like if you look at this graph, you've got Easy Local, Hot Frog, Insider Pages, Super Pages, Yellow Book, etc. These are all sources where you can get links to your site. Bing, 8 to 12% of the US public is using Bing. They're not using Google. You need to know this. A lot of people walk into Best Buy, they walk out with a Dell laptop. It's programmed for Bing, not Google. They're in Bing forever. So just make sure you get into Bing. What's cool about Bing is you can use your Google Gmail. So if you set up a Google page, your Google My Business page is going to be in your Gmail. You can import the Google page from Google into Bing and set it up, and it will synchronize automatically forever. Off-site, I was talking about these directory websites. These are directory websites. I just did a scan for my business, and I noticed that my address was missing from Brown Book, so I'm going to go in and fix that. I'm not in this directory. These two directories were offline. I'm in this one, I'm in that one, I'm not in that one. So here's the list to the directory websites. These are the top 50 business directories you need to add your business name, address, and website link to. So I mentioned that in the other call, but it's just so important to get into these directories and to get a Google page. You got to do that stuff. And again, when you do the directories, make sure your company name and address is perfectly the same everywhere. So if your company is ABC Painting Company, don't put ABC Painting CO, put company. If you're 123 Main Street Suite 2, make sure you put Suite 2. And if you can optimize these with, pictures and a video and put as much content in there, it'll help you as well. And those are on the list at the bottom of this page right here. If you're in a specific industry, if there are websites for your industry, if you're a builder, get into Fixer, get into House, get into HomeStars. If you're in medical, you want to get to DocSpot. If you're in restaurants, you got to be in Menu Pages, Open Table. If you're in law, legal, you got to be in Legal Finder, etc. There are, in this link here, very valuable. You can find directories. I dealt with a horse photographer. Believe it or not, I found an equine photographer's directory. And I put her into the equine photographers directory for the whole US. And actually it helped her get more traffic to her site. Google, it's a nice link to Google to tell Google that you are what you are and you do what you do in a specific industry. These are called industry specific. So these are directory listings. These are industry specific directory listings, which are more powerful. They're 20 times more powerful as an SEO signal. Big websites. I've got a link here to big websites. I'm not going to go to it. You can go to it later. But if you can get a profile on Quora, Quora.com, on Reddit, reddit.com, on medium.com. Put your blogs on Medium, put a few blogs up there. Put yourself on giant websites. YouTube is a great one. Get yourself on as many big websites like these as possible. Flipboard, Evernote are another good example. And there's a link to my site as an example. And finally, there are map websites in local search. You can put yourself into Telenav websites, Google Maps, MapQuest, Apple Maps. I already talked about that. And there are GPS websites you can add your name and address to. If you add yourself to a GPS website, you're telling Google you're in Boston, period. It's a really cool way to give yourself a few more map links. So I'm having you get links from directory websites, links from industry-specific directory websites, links from map websites. And the final thing I missed on one of these slides, sorry. In number 3, inbound links from local institutions, media, community organizations, charities, municipalities. You can get a link from Northeastern University. If you can get a link from a charity in Boston, if you can get a link from Channel 5 in Boston, if you can get a link from any local large company or institution, or even a local art gallery, whatever, anything you can do to get links to your site from other websites in your city is big, because it's going to tell Google you're in your city. It's that simple. So that is all the other links. And YouTube, I really am big on YouTube. Make sure you have a YouTube channel. Make sure you put up at least one little slideshow video that talks about who you are and what you do and where you are. So I'm trying to hit Providence, Fall River, and New Bedford. I'm in Fall River, Mass, but I do a lot of business in Providence and New Bedford. And so I put up a video called SEO Company, Providence, Fall River, New Bedford. And I put that video up, and it hit page 1 for SEO Fall River, and it sat there for 2 years. It was awesome. So they don't always stay there forever, but they'll help you rank. They also push the ranking of the website. I want to explain one other thing. Some people search for women's boutique near me, or if they're in Boston, they'll just put women's boutique. Other people search and they'll type in women's boutique Boston, MA, or Boston, Massachusetts. So the geo-modified search includes the words Boston and MA. Geolocated search is just the keyword from where they are searching, and they're not using the keyword. But you can rank, my point is you can rank for both of those if you do this right. And the near me searches are way up now. People are using that more. You don't need to put the words near me in your site, by the way. They'll just happen automatically. These are studies on ranking factors if you're a real geek and you want to dive in. And here's a link to the presentation, which I'm going to drop in the chat for you. And if you're a hockey fan, this is how you feel when your website hits page 1. So anyway, so let me open this up to Q&A. I'm going to stop the share and let's talk. I do have another question from Yvette. If you have multiple locations, how do you prioritize and distinguish locations? Yvette, that's a wonderful question. I talked to you the other day. I think you're in Boston and Providence. My answer is very simple. You need to build a page just for Boston. It's called the location page. You need to build a page just for Providence. So what I do is I have a contact page. On my contact page, I would list Proenza Cosmetics, 22 Boylston Street, Boston, MA. And then I'd put Proenza Cosmetics, 123 Hope Street, Providence, RI, 02906. Put both of those locations on the contact page. But then in the drop-down menu, you can add Visit Providence page and Visit Boston page and make a whole new page separate from the contact page. And on the contact page for Boston, you're going to put Proenza Cosmetics, picture of the building, the address, the phone number, Make sure you list the hours of operation and put up a little bit of content, maybe list the 5 services you offer and link from those services back to the service pages that talk about the services. That's the outline of a service area page. But the big part is just to make sure you have a page that has the name, address, phone number, and hours of each location. So it's really like a super optimized contact page for that location.
Thank you.
All right, Jane, I bet you've got questions. Jane, if you have any, jump in.
Okay, I have about 4 or 5 different questions. This has been a fascinating presentation, so thanks very much. I don't even know where to begin, but I'll start with what I think is an easier question. On the inbound links, how do you go about doing that? Do you add their website? I mean, that sounded fascinating, but I wasn't sure how to do it or how to think about it. I have multiple other questions, especially on the front page.
Well, let's start basic. So
yeah.
Basically right now, one of the top business directories beyond Yelp is probably merchantcircle.com, manta.com, hotfrog.com. But if you just go to manta.com, you'll have to open an account with them, put your email in. They'll give you an ID and a password as soon as you get it. They'll ask you to put in your company name, your address, and right there, they'll have a field for website link. You just copy and paste a link in. So when you get onto the directories, they'll ask you what your website link is and they'll publish it for you in the process of you adding yourself to those directories. So that's really easy. On a website like, let's say Quora. Quora is a question and answer website. You go to Quora.com, you set up a page for your business, and then right in the description of your business, my business sells this and that. In the bottom of the description, you just paste in a link to your business, and that's the end of it. So you literally copy and paste a link to your website into any of the content that goes on to those other websites. So basically, you just want to get a link published on their site. If you're getting a link from a charity or a local business or a media company, you have to ask them to do it for you.
Yeah. If anyone else has any, I have 2 other questions. On the front page of the boutique clothing store, I was kind of surprised about the wording, not so much what you said, but you talk to some graphic designers and they say don't put wording, and you're saying putting wording in a link. So what's the where do you put that wording on your home page? Is it on the top?
Okay.
How does Google figure that out? Does it matter, I guess?
It matters a lot in local search. The homepage is huge. So if you were national and you had a 400-page website, you could put up a page just for one product and a page for another product. You can probably rank for it. But in local, they got to be on the homepage. So in her case, for the boutique, she may want to scale that down. I tried to add the word clothing store as well as boutique on there. But what she could do is put the word clothing store on the about page, maybe. So, but I have photographers I've worked with, and I have big arguments with them. I said, if you're a photographer in Springfield, Massachusetts, you got to say headshot photographer, Springfield, MA on your homepage or you're dead. But if it's national and not local, you can build a page for, headshot photography. But in local, so that example was a little bit wordy. I just wrote that this morning in about an hour or half hour. So we could trim that down a little bit and make it a little more palatable. So the answer is maybe take out a third or half the keywords, but you got to have Boston in there. You got to have boutique in there. You got to have women's in there. And I think you got to have Newbury Street. So that's going to be an argument between the writer and the design person. But the answer is a happy medium. But I do proliferate the same words into the about page and into the service pages too. Makes sense?
And then one last question, then I'll go back on mute. I have others, but I'll let other people answer questions. You talked about when you had photographs going up into the edit photo and have the words there. If you have a scrolling set of photos, can you do that? Do you have to go into each photo and do that, or does it? If you scroll, does it lose that benefit that you talked about?
In some of the websites, the headers in the top of the page and the gallery photos may not be editable. So just make sure the file name has the keyword in it when you upload it, and that'll help. But what I do in most cases, I actually just add an extra photo to the page and I put in the alt text the appropriate keywords. So even if you got 6 images and 5 of them don't have the keywords, if you just put at least 1 image on a page and put some of the keywords in it, it's going to help you a lot. And let me tell you what alt text is. I forgot to mention that. I'm sorry. What is alt text? Alt text is alternative text designed to help the deaf and blind when they visit your page. It will tell the person when the blind person hovers on the image, it'll say the alt text out loud. So it's telling people what's in the picture. So it's telling the blind person what's in the picture, but it's also telling Google what's in the picture. We figured out about 8 years ago that Google was looking at that to figure out what's on the image, and it was really helping. So the keywords need to be on the page in a heading, on the page in the content, and then in the alt text. And then, like I said, those back end meta titles and meta descriptions. And let's have you do one more quick question, and then we'll move it around.
Well, the Bing, and you said you can synchronize it on Bing. You went through that pretty quickly. I missed how you do that.
Really easy. Log into Google, into the Gmail that you control your Google page with.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever Gmail you have, if it's Jane, at gmail.com, log in. As soon as you're logged in the same browser, go to Bing, B-I-N-G, places.com. And it will ask you if you want to log in with your Gmail, say yes. And it will automatically grab everything in Google and put it into Bing for you. It's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and it will synchronize forever.
All right,
Which is
thank you.
great. I'm going to go to the chat really quick, just because I don't want to forget anybody here. Tooney had a great question. What about Chamber of Commerce and other business organizations? Positively, absolutely must. A Chamber of Commerce link is one of the first links I go for. So join the Chamber. It'll cost you a little money to join, but you'll be able to go to the networking events and even if they're virtual, and you'll get a link to your site. Any local organization, it can be Little League helps, believe it or not. So any organization that's community-based would be huge. Okay, I have a question from Megan. I have a short video about me for the Pilates studio. If I start a YouTube and post it, how should I set it up so it flows to my Google ranking? Is it just, can't read the rest of it. Is it just by making sure my company name and match? Okay, Megan, here's your answer. The title of the video should say in YouTube, MBB, I know it's the name of your business, MBB Pilates Studio dash Charlestown, MA. Make sure you have the word Pilates Studio and the words Charlestown, MA, which is your town and city, in the title of the video. Then in the video description, tell them what's in the video. Just write a short paragraph, but make sure you repeat at the bottom of the paragraph, you put the company name, address, and website link in the video. Putting a website link in the video, YouTube video description is how you get SEO power from the video. So, so you're going to fill in YouTube, in the back end of YouTube, you're going to upload the video. It's going to ask you for a title. So it would be MBB Pilates Studio dash Charleston, MA. And you can put maybe 1 or 2 more words if you want. But don't stuff your title longer than, let's say, eight words, because you don't want your title too long. And then it asks you to fill in the description. You'll tell them in a sentence or 2 or 3 what's in the video. And then below the description, just put your name, address, phone number, and a link to the website. When you put the link in the description, it must be exactly the link. If you put www.mbpilatestudio.com, it will not be clickable. You must put https://www.mbpilates.com. So just make sure you copy the link exactly how it appears in Google search, because YouTube is an old platform. It doesn't recognize anything but a real link. So if you do that, you come 90% of the way. And the final thing you should do is if you can embed the video on the home page of your website, because Google now has auto transcripting, if you embed the video on your home page, it'll help your SEO because Google will read the transcripted wording on the back end. So we are now embedding videos on pages to help rank them. So they got a link, to the site and they're embedded. Go ahead, Megan.
I have an embedding, I'll just have to figure that out, but the rest sounds manageable. But yeah, I already have, like, from what you said, I have a lot of the stuff ready. I just have to pull it together.
Yeah. That's
All
great.
right,
What website platform are you on?
Squarespace.
Squarespace is awesome. Just click add, click video, and you drop in the actual YouTube link URL. It will automatically embed it for you. It's automatic.
Oh, nice.
Super simple.
Thank you.
Looks like Jane has another question.
Great.
You mentioned the Google giving the credit card, but not necessarily for ads, and that you can get the key search terms. Is that what I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
That's correct. So I can show you where that is and how to do that. Okay, can you see my Google Ads screen here? I think it should be up. All I did was go to ads.google.com. Go to ads.google.com, log in, create an account. Once you have an account and it's set up here, all you do is click on Tools and go to Keyword Planner. And you are in. You can either discover words or get search volume. Click Discover. And let me put that target keyword. All right. Try that again. Sorry. Refresh. I'm just going to put in the word clothing. Geek. Get results. And you see what came up here right away? Apparel, women's clothing, dresses, t-shirts, shirts, shoes, hats. Scroll down, cargo pants, leggings, TikTok leggings. It'll just spit out all kinds of words. Obviously, clothing store is huge right there, etc. So it's a pretty cool tool, and it will get your mind thinking in ways that you didn't realize people were searching for you. So that's it. That's an easy one. And while I'm waiting, let me just say one other thing about website SEO. So I just want to go over the major points again. I think that the building pages for your products and services is the thing I see people not doing the most is the service page and the product page. Each product needs its own page. Each service needs its own page. If you build a website and don't do SEO and just build pages for each product and services, you're going to get some ranking for the services and the products. And then if you just go in and do this SEO stuff, which is the meta title, the meta description, the alt text, you're going to get more ranking. It's that simple. So I think that, and the SEO pattern sounds complicated, but it's really simple. It's really just going into the website platform, going to the page, finding where to add the SEO, which is the meta title and meta description, going into the image gallery, figuring out where to add the alt text, and then just adding the words that you want to your page. But again, on the front end content, just make sure the page that people are looking at has, the appropriate wording that is relevant to what they're searching. And, the other thing I covered was the related wording, which you're going to use Google Ads Keyword Planner to do, add related wording. Basically, if you look at the Keyword Planner, what it's telling you to do is be more specific. So the more words and content you can put on a page, and I know you have that problem with design. If you're a photographer, what I do for photographers is I put a few words on the home page. I put more words on the about page. But then what I do is I build 500 word pages for their services. But so the headshot photography page would be 500 words. But guess what? I don't put it in the site menu. So people that are cruising the website don't even know that it's there. But Google is now gobbling up and reading a 500 word page about headshot photography. So, and that's going to help you rank for headshot photography or for a photographer. So the other concept I didn't give you is called the back page. I have a digital agency in Boston, a big one. And if you look at their website, they have 39 pages you can see in the menu. They've got 500 web pages you can't see. So they've built a page for each service they provide. And they also build pages for the service that they provide. So let's say they do Google Ads. They built a page called Google Ads Digital Marketing Agency Boston. And they built another page called Google Ads Digital Marketing Agency Springfield. And they built another page called Google Ads, Marketing Digital Agency, Rhode Island. And they built one for Connecticut. They're an East Coast company, so we built pages for each state. And they got some ranking in Connecticut. They got some ranking in New York. They got a lot more ranking in Springfield. You can just keep building pages. But that's the other concept that you need to know, is that you can build a page in your website, publish it, and you don't have to put it in navigation. And Google will read it and people will land on it. And it will bring you more traffic and more business. So that's another big secret that we use in SEO, is to expand the content. And the other thing is I do want to talk about blogging for a second. You must blog. I got to tell you this, you must put up a blog post every month. I don't care who you are, what you do. If you're not putting up at least one good blog post every month, you're going to lose traffic over time. So if you put up a blog post every month, you're going to gain traffic over time. I've been doing this, since 2009, and we've been blogging all the way along. And, I got to tell you, anybody that's blogging regularly continues to get slow and steady increase in their website traffic. So got to do it. It's a must. But we got to start with the website first and make sure you have a complete site that talks about everything that you do and does it product by product, service by service. So that's, the blogging thing is huge. HubSpot.com. If you go to HubSpot.com, they're a Boston-based company. They're global, one of the top SEO companies in the world. HubSpot figured out about 9 years ago that blogging is SEO in and of itself. It's a huge SEO factor. So I'd recommend you read as much as you can on the HubSpot site. They're an incredible resource to learn more about how to blog. And also they teach you how to do SEO for free, which is cool. They're just one of many sites.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. And I don't know if you saw Alona's question there. Google contacted me to come to my store, make a video of the inside of the store and put it on Google Maps. In the second email, they mentioned $600 for the photographer. Does that sound right?
There are legitimate authorized Google Map photographers, and they have access to the Street View system. If they're going to really put you in Google Street View, I would do it because it helps to do that. So only if you're a big retail store or a restaurant. So I would do that. That's one of the few things I would do with a third party, is put that in. So yes, Ilona, that sounds right. And it helps.
Hey,
Megan,
Mark, do you think that would also help with the Pilates studio? Because they've contacted me for that too.
I would. Yep. Yep. If you're going to be there, you know.
I think
But-
we're so close. We might be, I don't want to jinx myself. We're getting closer to negotiating a 3-year lease.
Awesome. That's great. That is wonderful. So, so yeah, it'll help. It's an SEO factor to have better, bigger pictures in Google connected to the map. They're going to take the pictures. They're going to geotag the pictures. What that means is when they take the picture, they're going to take it on location, and they're going to make sure that the back-end file content of the picture contains your latitude and longitude. It's called geotagging. So they're going to be uploading pictures that are geotagged with your company name and your address and your zip code and all that stuff. So that's a good thing to do. And I actually do geotagging myself. I have software that can geotag a photo. And I upload those to the Google pages.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and let me know if there's anything else we can do for you.
All right, top of the Google to you. We'll see you later.
All right. Take care, Mark. Thank you very
Bye.
much.